Attention! The National Weather Service has issued a hurricane warning for the entirety of the National Hockey League. Please stay tuned for further information from the Storm Cellar.
Welcome back to the Storm Cellar. Brad and Ray are with you. Hopefully our guests will be joining us soon. They are in a very different time zone, so sometimes those things, can lead to some back and forth or, make things interesting, right? Keep it spicy.
One of our longest distance guests, right? That's a long walk to make it to the Storm Cellar. So you can understand if she's a little bit late, but we have plenty to talk about here, Brad, and goodness, what a month. And I'm still, I think, recovering from our Thursday night game myself.
Right.
But we don't want to jump too far ahead. Let's take a look at February, which has been pretty darn good. Like we're holding steady, getting more breathing room from the rest of the pack, trying to battle to get into the playoffs. What a mess in the East wild card race. There are a lot of teams looking for one spot, and we're getting closer to that point where the spots, or the teams at least that will be involved, seem to be setting up already.
Yeah.
Which is pretty telling. This is the race to the finish right now. There's about 20 some odd games left. So
yeah. Almost not quite 2 weeks to the trade deadline as well, right? So
yeah, there's another thing too.
Yeah, the next few days you're going to start seeing, people starting to decide if they're buyers or sellers.
Yeah.
But if things are going to start happening, later this week, that will start to kind of sort itself out. But for February, the Canes, it's funny. They've won 2 and lost 1 each week so far. And they have 3 games this week. So I'd love to break that streak and just win 3 like that. Can we just make it easier on ourselves? Just win 3
in a row. 3 in a row. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also as of the Panthers game. The Panthers game was a great start to what I was, I got to come up with a name for it, but it seems like it's happened a few times the last couple of years. Every Thursday for the rest of the season, we have a game.
Really?
Until the very last week. Yeah.
I think the NHL schedule for us, eh?
Yeah, we have one this Thursday, then we have one the 7th, the 14th, the 28th of March, and then we have one in the first week of April, and then there's a week and then nothing. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of fun. You can kind of mentally be like, hey, it's Thursday, games are playing. I don't even have to think about it, but
yeah. You know what I was wondering about is how many more back-to-back games were set up for on the rest of the way, because look, playing the Stars last night later than normal, because it was like an 8:00 start for us, and then to turn around and you got a 6:00 start now against Buffalo in Buffalo. So not only was it back-to-back, but it's travel. And under 24 hours, you're going to be on the ice playing an important game again. So tough turnaround.
Yeah, and luckily for us, the schedule favors us, right? We're on the road for 3 this week. Then you come back on the March 2nd against Winnipeg. But you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 home games in March and only 7 away games. 1 back-to-back. You have Philly on the 21st and then the Capitals on the 22nd. Which is, it's the Capitals. They should be sellers at that point. So hopefully they're going through the motions. And then you have a second back-to-back. It's both at PNC. You have the Bruins on the 4th and then the Capitals on the 5th. So the good news is you're not fighting like a divisional opponent that's going to matter on either of those back-to-backs. You know what I mean?
True enough.
But mostly home games from here on out. We know the Hurricanes play a lot of road games early, and we finished the season on the road. The last 4 games are on the road, but the previous 3 or 4 I think are at home. So it's it all evens out. But
it always does, right? It always kind of shakes out.
It's always ends up being 41 and 41. So
yeah, and let me tell you, it was February was really, really good for the Canes just because this is where we kind of separate the wheat from the chaff kind of thing. It just we're breathing easier now. Now it's not so much are we going to get in? Now it's who are we going to be squaring off against? We are going to be in the playoffs. Like it's not 100% a surety, but really close. Like there's not too many predictions that say that the Hurricanes are not going to be in the playoffs now. Everyone seems to be on point now. Guys like Orlov, who in the past month has played much, much better, is tuned into the system. Same goes for Bunting, right? Bunting is feeling better about his game and stuff like that. Jalen Chatfield, who, injured after that kind of big collision, which was against the Stars, I thought, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think he was out for all 3 this week.
He was out for all 3, which, take it as making lemonade out of lemons, I guess. If you have to have D'Angelo in the lineup, I'll say this: he wasn't terrible.
He seems to have gotten something from sitting in the press box. Like here's the downside. Defensively, he's been much better.
Yep.
He's not been great. He's not Chatfield. I wouldn't put him in over Chats, but he's been serviceable. But he's gotten 0 points too, right? I think.
Yeah.
So,
well, and there's the rub, right? Because
you are now a Ted Lasso guy.
Okay.
He's season 2 Jamie Tart. When Jamie's like, what's wrong with me, Roy? Coach me, Roy. And he looks at Coach. He says, you messed him up.
Yeah.
You made him stop being, a certain type of person. And now he's all a teammate and stuff. Like that's what's happened. He's playing fine, but no points, but he's not making a lot of egregious errors. I've seen a couple, but I've seen a couple from a bunch of guys. So that's
totally
is what it is.
We still have to try to figure out how to work that segment into the show.
Right.
Ted Lasso comparison to the players.
I don't know. Maybe I wonder if Mike Solarte is a Ted Lasso guy.
He might.
He's coming on for our playoff preview. Maybe that would be
would be outstanding. That would be good fun.
But you're right. So the standings have shaken out, right? So New York's been on a heater. They've won 10 straight.
10 straight. Yikes.
So now you're getting to a point where catching them is it's not that it's not possible, it's just not probable.
Yeah, exactly.
But that also means you're not playing, Detroit or probably Tampa Bay round 1,
right.
Which isn't the worst thing in the world, right? So if things continue to progress the way they're progressing, it'll be the Hurricanes and Flyers in round 1. The wild card is really the only thing not set in the East.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me. So Pittsburgh has 4 fewer games than the Flyers, and they're 10 points behind. They're not out of it.
No, they could
catch them. Like now they have players on injury. They're not going to catch them, I don't think. But I'm just saying, like, by the numbers, they shouldn't give up just yet.
No,
unless they want to send us Sidney Crosby, in which case, fine, we'll take him. Like whatever, we'll take him for a rental for a year.
Sure,
get him off your hands. Like whatever. But you still have technically the Islanders, Capitals, Devils, Lightning, Wings, and sort of kind of the Penguins fighting for 2 spots.
Yikes. That's a lot of competition. And for the Pens, the name Gunsel comes up big for the Penguins. There has been a lot of talk about, should I stay or should I go with Gunsel? And what a pickup that would be to really any team. There's a lot of people that would love to see, but Pittsburgh's right there at that spot where are we going for it or not? And a lot of that going for it or not has to do with, how many more years do we have Sid?
Yeah.
We want to win this for Sid. And then of course, We got Letang. We got all of these older players that have been with the team for a very long time who might be in the areas where they would be. It's so hard to believe that, you know, Crosby could be anything but a Penguin. I just
Oh yeah, I don't see them ever.
he might,
being-
it's so very rare to have players put on one jersey and stay their entire career. That's
Mhm.
just one that I just don't see going anywhere. But what about, what about Letang? What about Carlson moving again? I mean, all of
Yeah,
these things are, you know, they're all up in the air now.
yeah. And what's kind of making it not worse, but just interesting is they're all very middling. You know,
Yeah.
the last 10, Lightning 5-5-0, Devils 5-4-1, Capitals 4-3-3, Islanders 3-4-3, Penguins 4-4-2. They're all kind of like,
And they're
you know,
cannibalizing each other. You know what I'm
right?
saying? Like
That's
everyone's,
exactly. They're just
the
taking on each
Islanders,
other.
yeah, the Islanders might beat, the Pens, but then they'll turn around and lose to the Caps. And it just switches all over the place.
Yeah, it's just a
And
round robin for them right now.
it is. And no one's actually asserting themselves
Right.
to
Detroit's the
dominate.
only one in that group, and I kind of left them out because they've gone 7-2-1 and are now wild card
Yeah.
one because I guess they want to play,
That's you know what? They're playing really quite well lately, to be perfectly
yeah,
honest. Like they would be interesting
big
getting.
turnaround for them this year. Yeah.
It would really, really be. And still the big turnaround, and they didn't do us a favor last night reeling in the Rangers. But the Flyers, uh, man, Tortorella again is doing such a great job getting them lined up. You know what I mean? And it's one thing that we really enjoy. But there is something that we enjoy even better, and that's when our guests make it from a long trip, a
Yeah.
long trip. Kerttu just walks in the door from Finland. She walked from Finland all the way into our storm cellar.
There may
Kerttu,
have been
you've joined
some
us
swimming
before.
involved.
Yeah, about a little bit of swimming. Yeah, for sure. But we're always happy to have you. Kerttu, how are you doing?
Hi. Yeah, I'm fine. Just been really busy this week since
Sure.
I
Life is is crazy sometimes. You know what I mean? Like where you're just busy. You got so much on the go, so much juggling. The fact that you've parsed out a little bit of time to join us, that makes us feel special. We certainly enjoyed that. That you've got time for us. How's it been? Like how, what let's get your we've heard your story before, so let's talk about the last time we talked, which is about a year ago. How have
yeah.
things been for you? What are you thinking of the club so far?
Mm. You mean the games?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Hurricanes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, they've mostly been fine. Little bit of struggling start, and it's kind of right now it looks pretty decent.
Yeah. What was the hardest part about the struggle at the start? I know Brad and I were a lot of gnashing of teeth, and like we were really upset because no
Yeah.
one seemed to get it going and have it right. What was your take on the start of the season? Was it the addition of new players? Was it like what do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of yeah, I think it kind of started to click at some point just, but it was well, it seemed like almost almost like nothing was working. Like,
Yeah.
well, we've had like a struggles with power play before, but it's always been great at PK, and even that was like pretty horrible to watch.
Oh, it was.
Watch at the start of the season. Yeah, so
Those are
I think
late
when
hours for you to be staying up late and seeing that kind of power play. It's got to be really frustrating. Why am I staying up for this? I can see that for sure. Oh my goodness.
yeah, it
Anyway,
kind of felt
continue.
like
Sorry.
that.
Yeah. Now, look, we haven't talked to you since last year, but last year you were kind of in our neck of the woods. You came down for the Stadium Series game.
Yeah,
How did you like
yeah,
that? That was insane, wasn't it? I wish we could have caught up with you.
yeah, yeah. It was a crazy day. It was awesome, and like it was really awesome, and our seats were kind of like you were kind of low, but we were so at the other end, so much at the other end that it was kind of when the play was at the other side of the rink, it was kind of like, well, I really can't see much, but
Oh wow, yeah. Were you behind the band, or were you like when you were on one end of the ice? Were you like was the band in front of you, or
yeah, it kind of was.
son of a gun? I was just a little bit further behind you. I wish I would have
Yeah.
known that you were there because I
Yeah.
was just a little bit behind you. I was behind the band, which I thought was sensational. Everything about it was fun. I mean, I'm sure you got in with the you know tailgating. I mean, the tailgating was amazing.
Yeah. I came like Stadium Series was Saturday, and I came like at Monday, so I was there like
Oh, you're
almost a
there
week
all week.
The whole
before.
week. Yeah. She was right
Nice.
behind me during the Hall of Fame game. Like 2
No
rows, like
way.
right behind us. Yeah.
That's outstanding too. That's so great. The trips, like talk the trips themselves. It's got to feel good when you get into that rink and to be amongst the other fans. You got to feel that energy, right?
Yeah, definitely. It was like yeah. It was special.
Well, look,
And it real
go
quick, I
ahead.
was going to say, Ray, I mean, some people have trouble going to away games, like just here in the States, right? Like it's expensive, it's time consuming, and that's, a couple hours away, a couple of states away. Like I know, like Linnea just got on a flight back to Finland this morning. She was here for a week. And
Oh
so for
wow.
for folks like
She
Kerttu to
actually
come,
didn't go Finland yet.
oh, okay. Oh, she's going somewhere else first.
Yeah, she's going to Dallas now.
Oh, I see. I
Oh,
didn't. I didn't even know. I saw that. That yeah, she was dropped off at RDU. But the dedication for y'all to like fly halfway around the world to come see to come see your team play and everything, I think is just really shows what dedicated hardcore fans people are. And it shows that there is something about sport that's bigger than just wins and losses, right? It's about community. It's
Yeah.
about some of these other things, and because people wouldn't travel, you wouldn't put in. I assume. Did you watch the game last night or
I watched
this
some
morning for
of it,
you?
but I was so tired that I have to go to bed like after the first period.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, even to do that though, right? To stay up until because you're 7 hours ahead, we figured out. So, the game's coming on
Yeah.
in the middle of the morning for you. Like, it's just always phenomenal to me, like how dedicated people are. We joke about, I joke because I like the West Coast games here where it's a 10 p.m. start time for me. And some people are like, oh, it's the worst. And I'm like, but y'all have it worse because games start at like, you have to go to bed and then get up and then watch some of the game and then I go back to bed. It's just unreal.
That's tough. That's tough. But you know what? Kerttu's a caniac through and through. Brad, do we do the special thing that we'll do with our guests now? Yeah, we're gonna do this here.
Yeah.
So Kerttu, here in the storm cellar, we've always tried to make the show a little bit better, a little bit brighter every show, and
Yeah.
because you are a guest that has joined us in the past, I think this is a really cool talking point that we're going to have 3 questions for our guests who join us. It's the same 3 questions. We'll ask all of them and see, where they go. And now you'll have to forgive my memory, because this first question, I know you've answered it before, but I've got to ask it again. First question is, who is your favorite player on this squad?
Sebastian Aho.
Sebastian Aho. Excellent. Brad, who is your favorite?
Svechnikov,
Svechnikov.
No doubt.
I too love Fishy. Aho is just outstanding. He makes my days great when I can watch him play. Here's the second question now. Would you trade Aho if it meant a guaranteed Stanley Cup win this year?
That's bad, but no.
Oh, very good. Okay. And I'm kind of the same with Aho. I don't think I could send him away to guarantee a Stanley Cup. Brad, Svech.
See, these are always fun, right? Because this always go around social media, and everybody has very valid opinions on this, because it's tough, right?
Yeah.
And see, when it's your favorite player, that's the harder choice for me, right?
Yeah.
Because we have Svech for 6 more years already locked up, and he's so fun to watch. So I don't know that I could do it. I mean, no offense to Pesci, but if it was Pesci where he's in the last year of his deal or something, I'd be yeah, that's different. But 2 years into an 8-year contract, I think we are I don't think I could do it.
It's the emotional ties that fans have with the players that make it so hard. If you can think of it strictly business, I'm pretty sure you would, right? Because you want to enjoy that and all the rest of it. Here's the last question, and it's going to be the same 3 questions. If, Kerttu, we could guarantee a Stanley Cup victory this season, but you had to have 5 consecutive years of the dark days like we used to have.
No playoffs.
No playoffs.
Yeah.
Would you accept it? Would you take the victory, or would you prefer to keep your chances of still getting into the playoffs and trying it the good old-fashioned way, going out and earning it rather than just having it guaranteed? What do you think?
That's got a really hard question, because I kind of think I would accept it. Yeah, because winning it requires sacrifices and losing before, and not that we haven't done it already, but
that's
yeah,
great.
but it's kind of if you could actually guarantee it, yeah, I think it would be worth it at the end.
There you go. Brad, what do you think?
I would, and I'll give you a couple of reasons.
Okay.
So one, it's this franchise's fan base is now healthy enough that you could survive 5 years. That's one. Winnipeg is one of the top teams in the league, and their attendance is at the bottom. Yeah, and the NHL has taken notice. So if I'm a Jets fan, I would say no, because you might win this year, but fans aren't coming out. And if they know that you're not going to get in the playoffs for 5 years, they're not going to invest, right? Yeah. But the Hurricanes fan base, 50 straight shutouts. So this fan base is at a point where you could do that and not have to worry about the franchise moving, right? That's a big one. Yeah,
that stat blew my mind. 50 straight sellouts. That is amazing. That's so great. And it's a testament to how into the area the Hurricanes are. Everyone's joining.
Yeah, and to be fair, most teams, before they get really good, are really bad, right? You need those high draft picks. Yeah. So if you know that you're getting 5 straight years of good draft picks because you stunk, that just means that 6th year, you're probably making a run. Maybe not, maybe you won't maybe not be cup ready, But will you get a couple of playoff rounds? Yeah, if you're not the Leafs, yeah, you probably will. It's cyclical.
Yeah,
You're just guaranteeing the cycle. That's all.
there you go.
Water
That's
is wet.
Point. That's right. That's right. For me, I think I got to tell you, I really, really love the excitement of the playoffs and knowing that the Carolina Hurricanes are among the big hitters of the league. Like we're up there with the big boys, with the favorites, the contenders every single year. And when you say guarantee, yes, that feels good. But there's a part of me that says, man, I remember not only the dark days here, but the dark days with Hartford, you know, and it was tough. It was tough. And I don't like the idea of all of the, the fans who have been shelling out their money and getting out there every night, making it the loudest barn in the, in the league, and then not having the excitement that we have every night going in, knowing that you've got a really good chance to win a game because you've got a great team. It would be really hard to see players like Aho, Svechnikov, Teravainen, Kochetkov all playing on a team that's not making the playoffs. That would be really, really hard to look at, and it might mean losing them in the future for them going to better places. I'm kind of the no. I would say no. I would prefer to have a team that has always got a chance legitimately every year to win, because winning is better than losing. And those tough days, first of all, if we had 5 years of sad times and the dark days, we don't have Rod. Rod would be moved on. He would be fired because he lost the room somehow, which you can't imagine. So you lose your coach. Every year at the trade deadline, everyone would be swinging around the canes like vultures. Who can we get this time? Like let's try to pick off Aho. They're desperate. They'll want to pick. You know what I mean? I don't want that. Yeah. I don't want that. Yeah. So it's tough. That's a very tough question. It's a segment we're going to do with all of our guests. You've heard our choices, Brad and mine, but all of our guests, we're going to ask them that question and get their take, see where they stand. It's just because, it's
fun. Who I really want to ask this question, Ray?
Who's that?
The teams who have never won a cup. I want to know what the Panthers, Jackets, Senators, Canucks, Predators, Wild, Sabres, Sharks, I'm not sure, I'm forgetting somebody.
Yeah.
I want to know from them, right? Vancouver's been around like 50 years. Buffalo.
Yeah.
Because I bet you would find in that fan base there'd be a lot more like, oh yeah, like we're lucky, right? Because right now we've had a boom the last, since Rod took over.
Sure.
If we were on year 14 of the dark days, like I bet all of us would immediately be like, yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we'll take it.
So,
yeah,
I don't know, question. But yeah, I mean, it's always an interesting question because it's just speculative, right? It's silly, but it does kind of give you an idea about, what do people find important and how do they look at things, right?
Yeah, no question. And that the Leafs fans they'd say that would, the guarantee that they'd have a Stanley Cup, they'd turn around and all say, yeah, we've gone 56 years without. So, what's another 5 years, right? Big deal. So,
and they'd somehow still blow it, even with a guaranteed win. Like they'd be up 3-0, and they'd still lose in 7.
Still find a way.
Like the genie would be like, "What? Like, how did that even happen, y'all?"
No doubt. Well, now that Kerttu's here, let's take a look at a closer look at the last 3 games that we played. Let's go to the Hawks game. Spencer Martin was great. He played well in that one.
Yeah.
Although it was interesting to see the chirping between him and Bedard. They had something kind of going, all game.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the second intermission, Martin gives him a little tap, which turns, a couple players around like they're going to chuck knuckles and stuff like that. It was crazy. Kerttu, that game against the Hawks, what did you think? Like Bedard was fun to watch. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
He's talented through and through. Where the rest of the team
Yeah, it
stinks.
was. Yeah, it started. I mean, it was pretty fun until the third period when you really have to like, seriously, are you gonna blow this again? But like, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, but it was fun when like Berard tried to like how do you say it, like tease Martin with something, and then Martin just like is like, really, look at the score.
Yeah, that little point was awesome, right? And then that goal was disallowed, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that, even funnier until Bedard scores about a minute later. Like, and it's actually a legit goal. Like he was like,
Yeah.
just the back and forth
Yeah.
was something there.
Yeah, I was kind of like, well, you're allowed that, but you're still gonna lose.
I love it. I love it. Brad, what was your take on that Hawks game? I know, much like Kerttu for myself, I can say, yeah, when they scored a couple of goals, I was like, and Brad, you'll remember the text. I said, you know what, Rod, call a timeout.
Yeah.
Call a timeout and reset everyone and remind them that the game is 60 minutes long and they can't just stop playing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you just can't stop because there are some pretty egregious mistakes that resulted in those goals.
There were. I mean, the big thing for me was it was pretty fairly officiated. I thought the Canes played pretty well. I never felt the game was really all that much in doubt. I mean, it was 6-3, but they had 2 power play goals, which it speaks more to the penalties, which, I mean, they were penalties, but it's, I don't know. I wasn't overly concerned, especially since it was the third period. To get 3-4 goals in the third period and really try and end that thing would have been ridiculously tough. And as good as Bedard is, it's the Bedard show, right? Bedard is either getting points or they're not getting points, right? Whether he's getting, goals or assists is kind of irrelevant. He's driving play up there. So, but it was fun. It was, I'm glad the NHL has backed off all the Bedard hype a little bit. Because and I'm not saying they shouldn't try and put their star players out there. They should, but like, when he got his first goal, it's like, he's only 800 and whatever behind Gretzky, and now he's got 2. No, he's only 800. Like, no, stop. Just he's a kid. Just let him be a kid and have fun playing hockey. And so it was fun watching him play. It was fun watching Spencer Martin. Some people made a big deal out of the thing where he was kind of like scoreboard and. The kid is good, right? So he's probably used to trash talking some, and Spencer's, whatever. Like, I didn't think it was too serious, so I thought it was, I wouldn't say all in good fun, but it's not like he was like against like Marchand and Kochetkov or something like where it was serious. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh, they're just kind of jawing, like, yeah, that's fun.
They chirp. That's what they do. You know what my favorite part was, and I think Kerttu will like it too, as we both love Aho, was the reverse check to Bedard.
Yeah.
Bedard tries to come in and overtake Aho, and he sensed it. And then after the game, Aho says, "Oh, that was him." Like, I didn't
That was the
even
best part,
realize who it was. That was so great. He just, and a solid reverse hit. And it was funny too because I was forced to listen to the Chicago feed, and the broadcasters on the Chicago feed were saying, "Oh, he left his feed on that one too." No, hold on.
Noted goon.
Yeah,
Sebastian Aho.
Sebastian Aho. I was like, wait a minute.
Chicago fans and Rangers fans are shaking hands right now and getting out pitchforks and
I know it was crazy, but it was a great hit, and I think the fans in the building really enjoyed it too. Make no mistake.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
definitely. Yeah,
The
like
pan. Go ahead.
I don't know what he thought was gonna happen. Like Berard is great, but like he's small. Like
Right?
Ahmed
He's
may
not a
have
big
been small
guy.
before, but he's not anymore. Like
Yeah,
it's just a loss of the nature. Like
that's a
yeah,
perfect point. That's a perfect point. And he's not even like, I mean, yes, he's an adult, but he's not a grown man. He hasn't filled out yet. He's still uh, I think we all remember Seth Jarvis. Seth Jarvis
yeah,
before he put on the pounds that he put on here before the start of this season, he got bounced around a lot too. And
Yeah.
dare I say targeted because he was playing well, but the bigger guys knew they could lean on him pretty hard and it would slow him down. So Bedard will get the same thing. I'm not too worried. I just say watch for him in the future. He's entertaining to watch. He's quick. It's the speed. When he gets the puck, he's so quick and agile. Crazy. Let's talk about the Panthers game. The best, honestly, the best game all year, no question.
One of the best regular season games ever.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And to have Bobrovsky, I was thinking we were going to get Bobrovsky again. Again. Why is he playing so well against us? He's got something against the Hurricanes? I don't know. Like he gets fired up. I mean, he stunk in Columbus. So maybe that was it. I don't know. But Kochetkov, who lost his stick a couple of times again, was amazing. And how about Jack being on the doorstep when that one puck looked like it might have gotten through after Kochetkov made that huge save? He was there to clear it away and for, prevent the tap in. I mean, everyone was on point. And of course, Fishy scores the game winner. Everything about that game was sensational, including the fans. The fans made that feel. That was playoff. That was playoff games. I've had friends who have texted me, messaged me, said it was nuts in that building. You should have been there. And you could feel it from the TV. Through the TV, you could feel the excitement. Couldn't you, Kerttu?
yeah. Like it was like it kind of, well, not kind of. It did felt like a revenge game for the playoffs.
Yeah. The revenge game that they should have had it earlier, right?
Yeah.
He didn't play that well against the Panthers the last time, to be sure. So I'm glad they showed up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, fucking finally.
Yeah, it's about friggin' time, no question. Yeah. I was so happy to see them play that game. Now, did your heart drop when that puck went in the net?
Oh, the Luosterainen?
Yeah. What did you when the Panthers scored, but it got turned away? 3 minutes left, and they finally score that goal. Did your heart stop, or did you know all along it was offside? Some people said, "Yeah, this one's offside." They knew it all along, so it didn't matter. My heart dropped. I was like, "No."
I'm actually pretty terrible at like. I have a hard time understanding when it's offside, even when they show it like. Even when they show it like later, I'm like, well, okay, I'll take your word. But I've always had a hard time figuring out when it actually is offside and when it's not. But like, yeah, I didn't because like I was kind of I was watching the game, but I was kind of but then I was a little distracted because I was trying to do some schoolwork at the same time. Bad idea, I know. And then but then I don't know, was it my internet or the broadcast, but it kept like coming off like all the time. And then
Oh,
I had to
no.
kind of like come back there. So I think I actually missed that one.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
Well, be glad that you did, because I was like, no, this can't be. We played so well. We're gonna let them
Yeah.
Yeah.
let them Bobrovsky us again. And then we saw what was funny, Brad, is that I had also heard from a few people that when the goal went in, people started leaving.
Oh,
And I'm
Uh,
like, why are you leaving? This is the
it's
most
3 minutes.
exciting game ever. There's 3 minutes left. What could you lose?
And you know what's bad about the thing that killed me about that Luosterainen almost goal was like 30 seconds before Aho himself admitted he missed a quote, an empty netter.
Yeah.
Right. So he comes down, Aho misses what should be that goal
Guaranteed.
should be it. Like the game should be over, and he misses. And then you're like, okay, played for overtime. And then Luosterainen scores, and it's just deflating, right? And you're like, oh, like this has been such a good game. Like I know this is part of it, but then, and then it's like, okay, like why they're not dropping the puck? Okay, wait a second, like something's going on. And yeah, great call by the Canes, video coaches, because he wasn't
yeah.
off by more than 4 inches or something, but
Yeah.
it is what
They
it
caught
is.
it. They caught it right away. So
Yeah,
good on the
yeah.
team for sure. So that was such a great game. And Aho going bar down, 18 seconds left.
And Mike
Just
Maniscalco's
perfect
call too,
spot.
right?
It
Aho
was.
Yeah.
misses the empty netter. He's like, what a nightmare. And then Aho
Yeah.
scores. He goes, from a nightmare to a
Nightmare to a
dream, or I forgot
dream.
how he said it. And,
Yeah.
but I was like, oh, that's a good call, Mike. That's Mike's for the heat Mike took a couple years ago when he was first really getting into it day to day. And because he was a little behind the play and some things, but he's new, right? And it's a
Yeah.
hard job. I think Mike has done a phenomenal job particularly this season, but he's clearly worked on, what he's doing, and he and Tripp have some really good ones.
Yeah.
So
He
some of
calls
them
a
I
great
wonder
game.
about the oil, gas, and gravy. I'm still not sure about that one, but
Yeah.
but I like the other ones, right? So
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The Stars game, we kind of touched on. I know Kerttu saw the first period. A decent game, right? Like it was
Yeah.
all right, Brad. I'll tell you one guy who I thought went MIA yesterday, and that was Seth Jarvis. I I don't know exactly what it was, but he did not have his fingerprints on the game the way he normally does. Jarvis is good for like near goals and humongous opportunities 3, 4 times a night, guaranteed. He just seems to find himself around the net with the puck. You know what I mean? And he gets a really good opportunity. Last night, he seemed to be struggling a little bit. But let's make no mistake, Dallas plays a tough game. I mean, we joke, Kerttu, here that Dallas, Carolina is the Finland's men's uh, inter-squad game. They have all of the players are going to be on Finland's, national team every time when they eventually play internationally. They're all going to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an amazing squad that the Stars have. So, it's tough to lose to them, but it not a terrible loss. I don't know if that makes sense, Brad. Help me out. Like, does
yeah.
it make sense?
So I would still love to see Dallas and the Hurricanes in the Stanley Cup Finals because it'd be just a terrific matchup.
It sure would be.
That being said, the Dallas Stars are probably the worst opponent for the Hurricanes out of any team in the league. They just match up with the Hurricanes line for line, style for style, in ways that just make it hard for Carolina. I mean, if you said, Brad, you can definitely pick one team you definitely don't have to face in the finals, I would pick Dallas over Edmonton or Vegas or any of those other teams because they just match up so well.
They sure
for
do.
what we do. You can't, even rolling four lines, like you can't skate by them. It's, skate by being a pun there. You missed it, but you know what I mean? But yeah, so I thought it was a phenomenal game. I'm a little bummed that they lost, but
Can't win them all.
You can't win them all. And Rod said it best. The officiating was not good.
No.
And as I usually do, it's not that the things called against Carolina aren't legit. Like the Orlov interference, I don't think is legit. That's like the one call I'm going to argue with, because even the slow-mo replay in slow-mo speed and time, it wasn't really a late hit. So at full speed, it couldn't have been that late. My problem is Orlov gets called for interference, and then like the same thing happens like 10 minutes later and there's no call. And I forgot who went to the box for hooking behind the net. Drury maybe. It was just a little baby hook. It wasn't even a real hook. And same thing. Then Dallas does it. There's no call. I looked it up because Carolina is last between 2019 and now. They're right in the middle of the league in penalties, right? So they've accumulated 1,400 minutes worth, or 1,400 penalties is what I'm guessing. This is from StatMuse. Which seems fair, right? Because we feel like it's unfair, but it's really, they're kind of right there in the middle. They're actually on the lower end of all league penalties more recently. And now that's just all penalties, right? That's not, so if you get a lot of game misconducts and fives for fighting and stuff, and some teams do, Vegas, then you're going to show up higher.
Yeah.
My biggest problem is, and we've said this before, other people have said this, for a puck possession team like the Hurricanes, who just dominate on puck possession, they have the puck more than their opponents by a lot every game. That is where you look at Colorado, who does the same thing or did the same thing, and they have very few penalties. And you look at the Canes, and they have a ton, which means they're offensive zone penalties. And I just don't understand how the league calls it that way. I mean, and like I said, I'm not saying they're not penalties, but it's not going both ways, right? That's the consistency issue. I was trying to explain this to my 10-year-old, and it's impossible, because I'm like, yeah, well, that should be a call, but it should be a call on both ends of the ice. And he's like, well, why don't they call it that way? I'm like, well, because they're human, and I don't know why. Like,
consistency.
That's what gets me too. Like, okay, have a strict line, fine, but do it both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Call it.
Like,
and because go ahead.
Yeah, because it's like playing a lottery every time there should be a penalty. That is it or isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to explain to him that consistency, you won't have consistency across an 82-game season necessarily, but you just want to know within this one game, it'll be fair. And if the next game is called tighter or looser, that's fine, as long as it's consistent for both, right? And it's not, and Kerttu, I don't know if you'll know this name. Ray, you probably will. I think I can't remember, it was Stéphane Auger, French ref of like the 90s, 2000s, like the worst ref maybe ever in the NHL. Like people hated him. Like people actually, because he would go up to players and be like, you made me look bad, I'm going to get back at you. And there was a game he called 4 penalties in the third period on one guy who he thought had made him look foolish. This is not to that level, is what I'm getting at, right? Auger was like out to get people. You're not paranoid if they're really out to get you. That was Auger. Like he was really out to get your team. This is not that. This is just, you get a reputation, and so you don't get some of the calls. And the Canes, Svechnikov in particular, has that reputation, deserved or not. And, I would just like to see it. There needs to be some kind of review process it doesn't even have to be public. Like I would like to see the referees, answer questions after the game, like, Seth Jarvis and Brendan Moore have liked. But somewhere along the way, you have to say, okay, these referees are not picked to work the playoffs because they're not as good as the rest. Well, find new referees. I know that's easier said than done, right? It's not an easy job. You're going to catch a lot of heat, but you're a professional league. You're supposedly the best hockey league in the world. If you can't find the best refs in the world, I don't know, pay refs more. I don't know what the solution is, but take a couple of, take $1 million in profits and split it amongst the rest as, the refs as offerings to get better refs. There's got to be refs out there who, even if they miss calls, even if they do other things wrong, will at least do it consistently. And I'll take that over a ref who gets every call, but only for one team or the other, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my soapbox.
Yeah, there you go. Kerttu, what? Where do you stand on all of that?
I pretty much agree. Like, yeah, there are games that I feel like that the officiating is so bad. Like, I think was it last season when I said that, because like I'm a pharmacist and I said that if I would be as bad as them at my job, people would get killed.
Yeah. No
Right?
kidding. No
Like,
kidding.
it's a little bit exaggerating, but that's how it feels at some games. Like, really?
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the
Yeah,
things
like,
that I always
obviously,
go ahead.
obviously obviously I'm biased most of the time when I watch, but it's still like, really?
Yeah. We and as fans, we all are. Every fan of a hockey team, they will dispute the penalties called against their team. We never like penalties called against us. I mean, although we do score a lot of shorthanded goals, there were times where we wanted to actually, get the penalties so we could score shorthanded goals, but nonetheless. But you're right. Like, there has been times where I think that some of these officials are wanting more time on the camera. And that's the reason why they're calling so many penalties. And I don't mind if they want their, 15 minutes of camera time in a game. If they want that, they can go ahead and be that way, but call it against everyone. I would call it evenly against both sides. If you want to be out there calling a ridiculously tight game, which none of us want. Look, as a fan, I think it's safe for me to speak for all fans when I say we don't want refs calling super tight games where every 30 seconds or every 2 minutes there's another guy going into the box. No one wants that.
Oh, it would be a disaster.
It would be a disaster.
Yeah.
But in the same respect, if they were calling it evenly, then you just say that's the way this guy calls the game. You know what I mean? So play it ridiculously clean and don't try to sneak those elbows in or the holding or whatever that they all players do. All of them do it. You look at the replays that Bally was showing of the game last night with the Stars, where Robertson was giving a hit to, I think, Pesci, and his elbow went straight to his head. It was a headshot in slow-mo to watch it. It was crazy. And then they quickly flipped over to KK, who had laid a hit on a guy, but he's like, as he was hitting him, he swings his arm up in the momentum of it and hits that guy in the head. I mean, they do it. They do those things. It happens all the time. And it's hard to ref. We said it a lot of times. You couldn't pay me enough to be a ref in the NHL. I don't think you could pay me enough. But
real quick, if refs want more camera time, like if that's what it takes to get good refs, I'm okay with it. Did either of you see Garrett Rank call the Blues game the other night?
Oh, yes.
So he gets on the mic and he goes, "You're not going to like this, but the call on the ice was correct. No goal." And I laughed. I thought it was hilarious.
I like that. I did too.
I'm okay with that. Like, are those antics? Yes, but the crowd got a good laugh. It was funny. And if you're calling a good game and refs can do that, and that can be their 5 minutes of fame for the game, great. Like that's I thought it was funny. I laughed really hard.
I thought it was hilarious.
But if you're calling a good game, right? If you're calling things, equally both ways, I don't know. The whole league needs to re-examine penalties and things. Somebody got penalized the other day for something that happened that wasn't called during the game. And my first thought was, didn't Svechnikov get cross-checked in the side so much he was out for 2 weeks? Like, why is this one thing reviewable and this thing isn't after the fact?
It's strange.
I don't know. We could spend hours on NHL officiating, but
we absolutely could. But we're going to change the topic to something else we could spend hours on, and that is talking about our goaltending. Kerttu, I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
if this is how, I don't know if you felt that, sometime this season, the team needed to make an upgrade in net and make a trade for a goaltender. I'm looking
Yeah.
at it now and saying I was heavily in that. Brad will tell you, and if you've listened to the show, I've been pounding the drum. Let's try to get Markstrom. Like that would be the best thing. Just like I was pounding the drum for Bo Horvat last year, I was doing it for Markstrom this year. And now, after that Panthers game, watching Kochetkov, I don't know that Waddell, if he's going to make a trade, is going to need to go after a goaltender. Do you think we need to upgrade in net at all? What's your take? This is a tough question.
Well, before the Florida game, I definitely did feel like that. I've been rooting really hard, even though I know it wasn't like very likely to happen. But I was rooting really hard that we should try to get Saros. But
Oh yeah,
but after the Florida game, it's kind of it's hard to say because if he's playing like that, yeah, we definitely don't need another one. But
yeah,
it's kind of like because it hasn't been consistent enough yet to prove to me that we don't need another goalie. Like maybe we don't need like Vesina level caliber goalie like Saras
yeah,
for example. But if Kochetkov isn't that consistent all the time, or if he gets injured like our goalie seems to get all the time,
yeah.
then we definitely would need someone like at least like decent enough.
I'm with you. I like. It's funny. The Panthers game to me kind of put an end to the discussion, but it also opened my eyes because when he put in that great performance, 44 saves, from that point on, they started sharing how great he has been of late. Like he's on a bit of a heater himself right now where he's playing just sensational hockey. And yes, he sometimes makes a few bonehead mistakes and, brain farts, whatever you want to call it. But for the most part, he's been really, really good. I've always seen him as our future, but he's kind of the future is now, is the way
Yeah.
he's kind of
Mm-hmm.
proving himself. Brad, where are you at on this?
So I'm going to start by saying I'm very well known for saying you need to score 3 goals to win in the National Hockey League.
Mm,
And Pyotr Kochetkov just makes me look foolish in February
yeah,
by getting 2 1-0 games, right? That being said, I'm not wrong. Out of the Canes' 34 wins this year, 3 of them they scored less than 3 goals.
there you
There
go.
was a
Yeah.
2-1 win in Detroit. There was the 1-0 overtime and the 1-0 regulation. So you
Crazy.
need to score more than 3 goals. So what you really need is a goaltender who gives up less than 3 goals. It's not rocket science, right?
Yeah,
I said
Yeah,
on social media after that game, there is no way Don Waddell trades for a goalie now. None.
yeah,
Kochetkov, when he is on, is just absolute fire and shows that he can do it. The second part of that is when we talk about Freddie Anderson coming back, I think a lot of people are still in like Freddie Anderson is coming back from an injury mindset, and he's not. He's coming back from being sick.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? And there's a difference there. It's not like we're coming back and he pulled a groin or something and he has to be cautious with his body. He had blood clots and now they're gone. And his body physically outside the blood clots should be in great shape, right? So Freddie coming back from an illness is very different than Freddie having to come back from injury and play. Right.
Great.
Spencer Martin has shown he's capable. I'm not saying he's the guy I would want to ride through a playoff run, but is he a serviceable third guy? Yes.
No question.
So what it really comes down to right now is what do we do with Antti Ranta, who came back and played well after his waiver stint, as short as it was.
Yeah.
But to me, it feels like he's going to be the odd man out. I don't see them keeping 4 guys on the roster. I mean, it's just It makes no sense. I mean, even in 3 guys in practice is hard. Like they'll tell you, like, we don't like it. They had 4 goalies on the ice for practice the other day. It's just not an easy thing to do. I think something is going to happen to Ronta, whether he's waived again. At this point, with the rebound he had, if he gets waived, he might get picked up. Because I don't think he's waiver ineligible. I think he has to go through waivers again if he goes back down. So I see something happening, but I see the Canes getting down to 3 goalies. I don't see them picking up another goalie. I hope and pray that maybe Don will give us some more scoring help. It's still the one weakness that I think we can. And I know he talks about like another D-man. Are you going to get somebody who plays better than Tony has played as a sub in budget? If you can, great. Like, I'm not saying don't. But what's out, who's going to be out there that's an upgrade over D'Angelo defensively? And there's a lot of those, but who's also, cost productive, like it's going to be a good fit. And there's guys, but is that the glaring need? I don't think so. Rod has had to juggle his lines to get scoring going again. If you can bring in somebody that can get some scoring going, and then you can, get guys back together. Turbo's on the 4th line right now. Like that's not where I want Turbo.
No,
but it is helping. So it's kind of a catch-22. But if I'm Don, I think in Don's mind the goalie issue has been put to bed with those, with the last couple of weeks of seeing what Kochetkov is capable of. Now it's where can I get better elsewhere if we're going to get better? Because he doesn't like to do it. And it's Don, and Don normally tells the truth. And if he says he's not going to do something, he's not. And at the deadline, it would not surprise me to see him pick up a 4th line rental and that be the move, right? That's just how Don works.
Don's a strange dichotomy in himself, because you hear around the league when anyone's talking about trade opportunities, the Hurricanes are kicking the tires, right? You always hear the Canes are in on this one. The Canes are in on this one. He may not make mid-season trades, but he's in on every one of them. And I don't know how that makes sense, but he's always trying to find ways to make the team better. I don't think goaltending is the situation any longer. And I've been harsh on Kochetkov. I've been harsh on him. I admit it. But you know what? It's just we're in a situation where with the team, it's time to win. It's time to get all those chips into the middle and pick up the person that you need who can guarantee that. Kerttu, Brad brought up the defense and so forth. We have been great on defense. What do we do with that situation? Seeing Chats out for the past 3 games has really hurt. You know what I mean? Like it forced a change in the pairings, right? Shea's not playing with Pesci, and it's changed everything up. And now you wonder, maybe a defenseman, maybe there is someone in the cards there that you could find that would boost it even more. Where are you at with that?
Yeah, I think basically when everyone is, obviously that's not the case right now, but like when everyone is healthy, I think our defense score it's great. And like, of course, there's been like situations this season when it certainly hasn't looked like that.
Yeah.
But I know we know what they can do. Well, if I was the one deciding, thankfully I'm not, I would throw D'Angelo away, because like I really don't see a need in him. And I was when we got him back, and I've been pretty happy that he hasn't played that much this season, because I think he's horrible at defensively. But like, yeah, but it's like if we would get another defenseman, it's really hard to say who would we get, because like obviously there's great defensemen in the league, but like the best ones aren't available like ever.
No. Now, you know what? Like Noah Hannafin, who used to be a Hurricane, is on the market. And last night he ended up scoring 2 goals for the Flames against the Oilers in a victory. And the Flames are now finding themselves in that situation where we thought for sure they were going to be sellers. They're trying to work their way back in. They're another team that's very enigmatic for the entire season.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm kind of with Brad. Like, I mean, we could make a, defense where it's like super defense if you got Hannafin back, right? Like that would be your best defense in the league, guaranteed, no questions asked. If you had him in, I mean, it would be bad for Chatfield because Chatfield would probably end up being the odd man out in that situation. And I love
Yeah.
Chatfield. I love him. I love that speed that he has, but he might be on the odd end looking out. Um, if you could have a forward, let's look at the forwards. Is there anyone out there that you think would be a nice fit for this team? And who would you give up to get him?
That's a bad question. Or good but bad for me.
Good. Yeah, I hear you.
Well, like I said, I was like before the Florida game, I was really into getting a goalie, and I was really hoping that we could get Saros because he's like not just an awesome goalie, but he's also an awesome person. And like, well, it's always hard to say who would you give up, especially in a big trade like that. And
Yeah.
like, as much as it hurts me to say, I think I would be ready to give up Nature's.
He's the name that comes up, right? And it's not because you don't like him. I know Brad and I have said this before. I mean, yeah, the drop passes to no one and the pirouettes and things that he does can get a little bit annoying. But you see the goals that he scored, like the one against the Hawks, where Mrazek, like he deked through 3 people and 3 feet from the net, he went bar down. You have any idea how hard it is to put a shot bar down from just 3 feet away from the net? Like that's just pure skill, right? The thing is,
Yeah,
Natchez is the one piece that would guarantee that you get something good in return. Because
yeah,
everyone, I mean, like he's the chip that would say, yeah, you know what, it's okay if we get, this guy, like a really big name, guaranteed goal scorer kind of thing, right? He would have to be part of it, wouldn't he? Like Brad,
yeah,
I don't. That's
So,
really the name, right?
um, so Marty, the problem with Marty Natchez is he's an RFA at the end of the year. Team control. So the team's got all the leverage. He can hate his contract. He can hate whatever they offer him. But at some point, if he wants to play, he's going to sign. I would go. There's one target I would go after, in principally because he should not cost you Marty Natchez. Right, because we need to add scoring, not replace scoring.
Right.
I am all over the Ducks' Adam Henrique.
Ooh.
Okay, here's a guy who's a UFA after the season. He's not going to resign in Anaheim. They're terrible. He's going to go somewhere else. Okay,
Yeah.
it's $5.8 million cap hit, but in Anaheim, who's not good. Okay, let's just put it that way. Anaheim is let's see, they are
Dumpster
the
fire?
like 4th worst team in hockey.
Yeah.
He's put up 16 goals, 21 assists for 37 points. If you could bring him in as a rental, he's your 4th best scorer, goals and total points. And because he's a UFA after this year and he's on the end of a deal and you just want him as a rental, we're talking prospects. We're talking, might you have to give up a Suzuki or a Morrow or something for him? I think so. Yeah. Draft pick. Yeah. Do I care about giving up a number 1 draft pick? I don't care about giving up a first rounder. The Hurricanes draft better than the 2nd round anyway. So I'm looking for guys that I don't have to give up scoring for in order to get scoring. And the list is fairly short, but Henrique is the one that stands out to me that could be that guy, right? So he's a left winger. which gives you, it's not as fluid maybe as a center, but I don't care. You know what I mean? If you, I'm sorry, he is a center. I lied. So you slot him to 2C.
Okay.
You move KK down to the fourth line, where he excelled earlier in the year, where the pressure wasn't on him and he was doing great, right? That also gives you a little more opportunities to move like Nazen and Drury around. But if I'm done, that's the person I'm calling about, because it should not cost you an arm and a leg. It should be purely as a rental. I know Don likes guys with term. Too bad, Don. Re-sign him if you think that's what you want to do. But for a guy who puts up his numbers for that cap hit and it's a rental, you don't have to give up a top 9 forward. We need all the ones we have plus one, so you can give up something a little less.
So Brad, and you started answering it. I was just going to say, be the fly in the ointment. And here's the problem that Mr. Waddell has to deal with is, if you want to not give up, any of your talent in the lineup right now, and you're looking for that rental that'll cost you maybe a couple prospects and a pick or something like that, the fly in the ointment is, where do you put him and what does it do to the guys that are already in the lineup? Like right now, it's very difficult positioning people around it. You add someone like Henrique in, who's great, like you say. Where does everyone go and who's the odd person out? Because the forwards look pretty good right now. They've been playing well. Kerttu, do you have the answer? Who's the odd person out in our forwards?
That's really, that's a tough question right now. Like, you said he was a center?
Yes. Henrique is a center.
That's hard. And he would probably have to play like a...
It's tough. You know what? Kerttu, I'm sorry. I keep asking these really hard questions, and it's
no, it's
like
I'm
grilling you and stuff like that. I just don't want to attack.
It's a hard question.
Guess.
Yeah, it's good question. No, I would say, well, for this, I think for the centers, basically, the centers you can't like put away are like Aho, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I think can't really put Jordo away. Like, at least you need him at least for the face-off, if nothing else.
Question.
Yeah. But like and of course you wouldn't put Henrik the third or fourth line anyway, so it wouldn't make sense anytime. Just that the lines have been like, there's been so much like ping pong with these lines, that who plays and where, that it's really hard to say, because you would have to make Henrik like a second line center or something.
Yeah.
That would mean like it has been like a second. Yeah. I actually have kind of hard time like really thinking who would actually be a second line center right now, because it seems to change every game.
It does.
So against the Stars, right? I would do Svechnikov, Aho, and Jarvis. I'd get Jarvis off the third line. He's making that line go, but I think we can move him.
Yeah.
Drury slotted in as the 2C last night. So pull Drury out and just slot in Henrique. Instant upgrade. Henrique, Bunting, Natchez, that's a deadly looking line. If you're the opposing team, you're not wanting to play against that line either.
No.
So then you still have Martinook and Stahl, right? And you got to do something there. So could Drury, as he's played pretty well, could he help maybe get that line going? I don't know. Right? But it gives you another option.
Yeah.
If not, could you move Turbo up? Because Turbo's excellent defensively. I don't know if he could get them going in the way that Jarvis has, but you're flexible, right? And then for a fourth line, then you could have any combination of Drury, Teravainen, Kotkaniemi, and Nazen.
Where's
And
Fost?
That would make sense.
Somebody out of the starting group has to sit, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that it's Fost. I would even maybe want to put Fost back on the third line as the first experiment to see if they can recapture that magic. And then, no offense to KK, but if you're not scoring goals, he is doing a lot of things well. Maybe he sits for, you rotate guys out of that fourth line. You can rotate out, Kokiniemi and Drury or Fost or Teravine. And it's better to have, as much as we don't like it, it's better to have too many great forwards than not enough.
Yeah.
But I know that Henrique can make this team better.
Yeah.
Definitely he would.
To me, I think if you get anyone in, if they bring anyone in, someone's going to have to come out. Probably, and someone would have to come out, if only for the cap space. I mean, that's the other issue and all of that. Isn't it glad we all said, every one of us has said, man, am I glad we're not Waddell? Because, man, there's so much to consider in all of this.
And we only need to free up not even $1 million of cap space. It's not a lot.
Still difficult, though.
It is. I'm not saying it would be easy, and we all hate to sit a guy who's earned his way in, but
yeah, my goodness,
you started the year not playing like a cup contender, and now you're playing like a cup contender. Go be a cup contender.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Kerttu, thank you so much for joining us. One of the things that I've always said about this podcast that I like the most is the fact that we're far-reaching and we've got Caniacs all over the world that we open the door to welcome in, and we love hearing their stories. We love talking to them, and you're one of my favorites. Had I known you had been right near the band at the outdoor game, I would have found you, because man, oh man, that was such a great time. The fact that you were there, and the fact that you got to see, Brad in the Hall of Fame game too. I mean, that was outstanding as well. You're such a great guest, so knowledgeable. You make this a better storm cellar to be in. Thank you so much for joining us.
Nice to hear.
Brad?
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well,
absolutely.
Anytime. We'll have you back anytime. Brad, we've talked about a lot. I've grilled Kerttu with terrible questions. I put her on the spot. I've been the fly in the ointment. We've done so many things. We are getting ready for the week ahead. Beat the crap out of the Sabres. Okay, guys, today. Well,
that'd be nice. Yeah. Just we have Minnesota next, and then let's
gonna be tough. Let's get those wins.
Let's don't go 2-1 this year. Let's go 3-0 this week.
3-0 this week. Let's have it. But there's something missing again, Brad. Something missing.
I don't know, man.
Oh, I just thought of it. Go Canes.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Ray and I greatly appreciate your support in helping us produce an informative and fun podcast. As always, we'd like to say that we believe hockey is for everyone. Whether you're a Caniac or a bunch of jerks, doesn't matter, as we're just a couple of jerks anyway. We would love to hear your questions, comments, and suggestions. We will do our best to answer anything hockey related. You can reach us via email at stormcellar97@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are at stormcellar97, and on Facebook at facebook.com/stormcellar97.